opportunities that we enjoy. The quality of life that our generation is enjoying, no human generation in the entire history of our civilization has ever come close to those amenities. But at the same time, the challenges our generation faces are also more complex than any challenge ever faced by human civilization at any time. The means of destruction that we have in our hands, no human generation has ever had. So it is in many ways best of the times and in many ways worst of the times. It is within our own grasp of decision making. Which path do we choose? Do we take human civilization on the path of peace, stability, and shared prosperity, or we take our journey on the path of conflict, destruction, and intolerance? This will decide the future of the world. It is not only the conflict that is happening, it is also the rapid speed or pace of changes that is challenging our order. Today, the speed of progress has multiplied manifold. In my generation, I have seen how learning has moved from slates on which we used to write with chalks to tablets which are run on 4G technology. And this is only beginning of the journey, and this speed is further going to get accelerated. Now what that means is that technology in future is going to be a major disruptor. The way we have lived, the way we have earned our living, the way we have learned our knowledge, the way we do anything in life. So this is going to be now a constant journey of disruption and innovation. And when you have disruption, you create disturbance, you create tension in the system. And this ever-evolving journey of disruption and innovation is going to throw many challenges for many people who today seem to be disconnected from change, but tomorrow they might immediately find themselves out of business. They might find themselves exposed to certain vulnerabilities, and that can pose more challenges for societies. Look how Uber has redefined the model of public transportation. Now, while it has created thousands and thousands of opportunities for many people, it has also made that traditional mode of public transportation redundant. What Amazon is doing today or Alibaba is doing through e-commerce, that is making hundreds and thousands of jobs redundant, but at the same time creating new jobs also. So there is this constant disruption and innovation which is throwing opportunities as well as challenges. So it is very important that we include youth in our efforts to chart our future journey, to make sure that in this journey of constant change, in this journey of many challenges that are thrown towards our societies, we are not victims of change. It is said that generally when change happens, you can respond to change in three manners. Either you embrace change proactively. That means that you try to read future, you try to read the change and prepare yourself for that change so that when the change comes, you are not the victim, you are the beneficiary of change. Second is you give reactive response. And reactive response is that you wait for the change to occur, and when it happens, you try to do damage control. That is, you are at the mercy of the change. Whatever will happen, will be the choice of the change, how much damage it can do to you, but you try to do some damage control under that scenario. The third is you fail to recognize change and you deny the change. And in denial, you only destroy yourself. So there is not even the choice of damage control. So as a progressive nation or as a progressive society, it is duty for us and for anyone that we must understand the changes that are happening in our world, in our society, and try to be proactive about them. We, in 2013, immediately after coming into government, chalked out a vision for Pakistan, Vision 2025. Where should we go? What kind of society should we become? How can Pakistan be a leading economic power in the world? And in 2014, when we said that we want to be among the top 25 countries of the world, many people questioned our intent. Many Socrates and Bucrates who today sit on the television in the evening and are prophets of gloom and doom, they were telling us that you are only selling us false dreams. But ladies and gentlemen, and my dear youth, today PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a leading economic consulting firm of the world and which does rankings of the world economies, in its most recent report has put Pakistan in the top 20 economies of the world by 2030 if we continue on this path. So it means that there is now hope. Alhamdulillah, the country has achieved the highest growth rate in last 10 years, 5.3%, and we are hoping to touch 6% this year, inshallah. Country was without energy 3-4 years ago. There was not enough energy even to charge the batteries of the standby generators. And we were forced to burn candles at night to get some light. And international media wrote stories that Pakistan is back in two stone ages. Today, alhamdulillah, we have reached a point that where we have surplus energy for 65% of the feeders where there are no losses. We will be adding about 10,000 megawatts of new power by in another 6 months. 7,000 has already been added. Now that has made country self-sufficient in energy. And this 10,000 we have done in 4 years. When you compare it to 66 years of Pakistan's history, in which we only had 16,000 megawatts of energy. Now we as a nation should feel proud that if in 66 years we had only 16,000 megawatts in 4,000, we have just in 4 years added 10,000 megawatts. It is a great accomplishment for Pakistani nation on which we can take, we can collectively rejoice. Similarly, in 2013, we were victim of terrorism to the extent that not a single day would pass when we would not have an unfortunate incident. Today, alhamdulillah, we have broken the back, barring occasional 1 or 2 incidents which do happen from across the border. By and large, shadows of peace are stretching and becoming longer, and Karachi has become much more peaceful, and many other parts of the country are much more peaceful. So we are also improving on peace and security. But this also requires that if we really have to realize our true ambition, we must develop certain maturity, certain consensus on the overall direction of Pakistan. We all have right to hold opinions. We are a democratic country. I can have a political opinion, you can have a separate political opinion, but if those opinions will become a matter of life and death, then we cannot aspire to be a peaceful country. We must develop an ability where we can compete with each other on our own choices, but then we must simultaneously have ability to also collaborate on larger national level issues. If we lack that partisan, or if we lack that difference of opinion, close all our abilities to relate to each other, then we might become a very dangerous place. So therefore, Ministry of Interior, while we are trying to deal with the security environment through improving civil armed forces and taking other kinetic measures, we strongly believe that we need to engage youth of Pakistan to develop an atmosphere, to develop an environment in which we can all relate to each other while we may disagree with each other. We must provide spaces where we can have open and frank dialogue, not on the basis of violence, but on the basis of logic and debate. This is what gives any society strength. I can hold an opinion and I can be as a patriotic Pakistani as someone else who has a different opinion. But if I think that I am the only Pakistani because I hold a particular opinion, and anyone who differs with my opinion is now a lesser Pakistani or less patriotic, then we have trouble. And this is, I think, what we need to really address. Try to create an understanding, try to create certain environment in which we can openly, honestly engage with each other, understand each other's. Very often you come to appreciate others' point of view once you try to understand what is the basis of that person's assumption. If you only look at that person's views on the basis of arguments, you will have maybe extreme reaction. But if you try to understand that what are the assumptions with which that person is speaking, you sometimes begin to empathize with that person. So we must develop that ability to understand each other and to also allow this pluralism in our society, because democracy without pluralistic shade cannot be a democracy. If one opinion is the dominant opinion and there can be no other opinion, then that thing is no longer democracy. It goes into fascist tendency. So there are no blacks and whites. If we are in democracy you will have different shades of gray opinions. People can have, different opinions, yet they can choose to change opinion and form opinion. There is no absolute right and there is no absolute wrong. I can be half right, half wrong. I can be 3/4 right, 1/4 wrong, or whatever, So, and that ability or understanding or tolerance is very critical, and I think from youth we expect that they must create such movement in the country where we are able to protect our future from the conflicts that are emerging globally. Unfortunately, the micro power of media has enabled humanity to broadcast their differences at a much larger scale at global level. Previously, the medium of information had a much broader platform, a much higher platform, where it was very difficult for small groups to really reach out to larger audiences. Today, with democratization of information, while we have some opportunities, we also have certain challenges. Today, if I am some extremist, some fanatic, all I need is one smartphone, and with that smartphone I can reach any young boy or girl or anyone from the youth anywhere in the world. Now my messages of hate will have much larger audience, and I can influence many more people ever before. So this is also the danger of this proliferation of media. Every parochial group today has a mouthpiece. They have their television channels, they have their Facebook broadcast, they have their Twitter accounts, and they are able to propagate material of hate or material of extremism on a much larger scale, and they can also influence young minds who may not be very educated or who may not truly understand the real agenda. They can fall in their traps. So it is very important that our youth be educated and our youth understand what are some of the pitfalls that can also rise with this growth of media. I always tell our media folks that you have a great responsibility. Unfortunately, the dominant paradigm in our media is good news is no news. So if you watch media, you will all the time hear negative news. And if you are all the time giving people negative news, if I am a 20-year-old young man or a woman or 25-year-old, very sensitive, very passionate about my country, all I hear all the time from the media that every leader and every institution is son of a thug or a looter or a plunderer. What would be my reaction? My reaction would be to rebel against the system. And if I rebel against the system, who can attract me? These are those extremist groups who are selling me some ideal version of escape. So I will be their recruit. So it is very important that we portray the true picture of society to our people. Our society is not full empty glass. Our country and our society is half glass empty and half glass full. We must keep this balance. While we highlight the problems of our society, we must also celebrate the successes of our society. But we very seldom let our people and our youth know what is good about our society. If we were able to turn the tide of electricity shortage, and if we were able to put Pakistan on energy surplus in bulk of the areas, this should have been a great story. But for